everybody, and welcome to the Level 30 Games Podcast. This is Tom. Got a panel of folks here with me today. I want to welcome Joe back to the show. Joe, thanks for coming back out.
Thanks for having me.
And I want to welcome, after a long hiatus, I want to welcome Ada back to the program.
Hey everybody, happy to be here.
Thanks for being here. Welcome to the show.
Wait, there's a joke in there. Hiatus. Yeah.
Oh, you know, that's not bad.
Thank you.
That was awful.
No, that was good. I booed Joe earlier. This was great. That was a good
the best
one.
You're getting out of me all night.
Hiatus. It works on so many levels, Ada. Ada, how have you been? What have you been up to? What's new in your world? We hear from Joe and me all the time, so we're not as interesting anymore.
Oh, it's been a great summer, and I've been, taking the time to relax and spend time with my dog. And in bigger news, I'm starting my 17th year of teaching at a new school.
Wow.
I'm very, very excited.
Congratulations.
You don't even know.
What's it like to start somewhere new after so many years?
Oh, it's scary, but I couldn't be more over the moon about it.
That's really exciting. I'm happy for you. I'll be starting my 12th year. Oh my God. 12th year of teaching? 11th? I don't even know. See, I've already lost track. I think, all right, maybe it's 11. My 11th year teaching. Oh, it doesn't feel right. I think it's 12. All right, 11th or 12th year of teaching. Same school. And really, it kind of gets back to the whole point of this podcast was that we were working individuals. Most of us teachers are in the educational system and didn't have time to do a lot of gaming, and we still don't, but we find time to do that. And this. So if you're listening, thank you for joining us on this adventure. Joe, anything new with you?
No.
What about you, Tom? What have you been up to?
I've
Good segue.
been up to a lot of nothing really. Just kind of hanging out, enjoying a quiet summer, which has been nice, and trying to mentally prepare for the start of the school year, which is about a week out from today. So we're recording this at the end of August. So there are some things that we're gonna have to gloss over, but I do want to mention because our recording time is unfortunately 2 days prior to a Nintendo Direct that's going to be focused entirely on the new Mario game, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which leads us to spend some time talking about Mario today. Joe had decided that, you know what, it's been enough Zelda chat. We're going to shift our gears and head over to Mario. And I slightly disagreed, if only because...
Was it me? Did I decide that?
No, I'm sorry. I decided that. But you championed it, and for that I thank you. I have since beaten the game, and I really do want to talk about it, from top to bottom, spoilers, just a big old end of the game spoiler cast. So I'm going to wait for you to wrap that up at your leisure. There's no pressure, but please do it soon. No, I'm kidding. Take your time. And anyone that's still playing it, please take your time. I clocked in at 150 plus hours.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And I think the latter portion of it, I didn't rush, but I was a little antsy. And then I started to slow down again towards the very end because damn, is it good. It's just so good. But that's not the point of today's show. We're going to talk a little Mario today in anticipation of Mario's new game coming out in October. So on top of that, it's been a pretty slow news month in the realm of games. Some really big notable releases. Baldur's Gate 3 has been a really big topic of conversation in the gaming space. Joe, you're the only true PC gamer here. Is that something that's blipped on your radar at all, or you're staring at me with the "what are you talking about" eyes?
I honestly haven't touched it, mostly because I don't own it, but I've been playing Zelda, and that's just been, I'm afraid of stepping away from Zelda and not coming back to finish it because game ADD. But also oddly enough to me, from my perspective, a lot of people were there was some talk about the game coming out here and there, blah blah blah, and then the game actually comes out, and everybody I know, whether they're a gamer or not, is playing it. People who don't typically game are posting Instagram stories and stuff that
cool.
are I'm playing this, blah blah blah. I didn't even know you had Steam on your computer, so it was weird the way it kind of blew up. But again, that's my perspective. I'm sure there's people who actually get to play games more often and talk to people who play games who are probably just waiting on this for months and months and months.
I'm sure, and it seems like one of those games that could be played for months and months and months. It's actually seems to me that the positive buzz about it, and normally I wouldn't do this at any point in the year, but we know the holiday game season is upon us, and there's going to be a rush of some pretty big titles. and I am a huge Zelda fan. So I felt, I'm like, oh, Game of the Year, locked up. It's got to be Tears of the Kingdom. And now Boulder Gate's kind of like, hey, wait a minute. You know all the open world, RPG games that have done bits and pieces right and a whole bunch of stuff wrong? Yeah, we do it all the right way. And I'm like, shit, this could be a contender here. I'm a little concerned, which is kind of a silly thing to be concerned about. I just want my favorite franchise to come out on top at the end, and who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to end up taking that. And I mean, there's still time left in the year for someone else to jump in and do something correctly. But I don't know. Nintendo's got enough money to kind of lock that away if they really wanted to.
Yeah, that's true. And we'll actually hit some of those numbers indirectly through some stuff later in the show. Since we wanted to focus in on some Mario-related stuff, part of that stemmed from recent news. Charles Martinet, who did the voice for Mario for decades, has retired. And he's
not where I thought you were taking that.
No, but like... Hold on.
To be.
You thought I said he died?
Yeah.
Oh no,
the way you kind of geared up for it, like
you're very solemn with that.
Tragically,
well,
taken his leave.
Can we not call it retirement and maybe just say that he got a title change? Because isn't that really what happened?
So he did get a title change. Yes, Nintendo's referring to him now as the Mario Ambassador, and that's such a PR bullshit title. If I want to just be a little blunt with it, mainly because anytime there's a brand ambassador for anything, it's like, hey, you're going to be the person that we shove out there to represent us in a positive way, and that's it. So I don't know if he's earning income from this or
Of course he is.
You think, oh.
Of course he is. He's going to travel all over the world. He's going to talk about Mario. He's going to be a special guest at places, and he's going to be, almost like a museum, circulatory exhibit. It's just him.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, if he was at like a convention or a trade show, I'd line up to meet him, get his autograph.
I'm sure a lot of people would. I would.
God, yeah. And I'm sure he makes a ton of money just doing that alone, let alone being...
Is he on Cameo?
I don't think so. I think probably contractually he was not allowed to be, but maybe...
That's a bummer.
Now he can be. I don't know. He's had quite a storied career outside of even Mario. So I was doing some research, and you can go to charlesmartinet.com. Joe, I encourage you to do this because his website is straight out of 1996.
Really?
It is horrific.
Does it like resize your browser window and everything?
Not quite.
I know one website that still does that.
But it's pretty ancient, and it almost makes it seem like way more endearing. So he retired. He's 67 years old. So like to have a website at 67, I feel like nope, that's exactly. He like peaked in 96 and said this is building a website, and then just like left it for 30 some years.
Love it.
Yeah. So he'll be the Mario ambassador, and it just kind of raises some questions now that we have a new Mario title on the way. He has come out, or Nintendo's come out and said he's not involved with that project in any capacity, which means that his last known appearance in Mario in any presence was the Mario Brothers movie. Did you saw?
No, I just have not heard a single good thing about it.
Oh, I really
enjoyed it. I saw it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
That's so funny. Yeah, I haven't heard like a single good thing about it, but I also like couldn't find anybody that wanted to go with me.
All right, we can watch it right after we're done recording.
All right.
Because of course it's on the shelf. No, I would encourage you to watch it. Like, not sit there and expect. Like, I wouldn't say it's a good movie.
It's kitschy.
But, like I'm 38 years old. It's not made for me. It's made with me in mind.
Yeah.
It is every bit a kid's movie as you would expect it to be, right? So, like, that's fine. Because I would love to see, like 8-year-olds going and being like, I love Mario because of this. Awesome. Like, that's what you want.
Well, they're certainly not going to love Mario because of the old Mario movie.
No.
Okay, but I gotta ask this question.
Yeah.
Now, what we've seen them do in movies with bringing somebody, that's no longer with us back in digitized form, couldn't they just go into the library of his voiceovers and just continue to use it?
So, I mean, they could, and he would, depending on, his contractual structure, could say, yeah. And I'm sure there are plenty of instances where they said, oh, we need to use Mario sound effects. Well, let's just go to the archive and see what we have recorded that maybe we haven't used yet. So it wouldn't be uncommon, or I wouldn't be surprised if he came out and later said, oh, yeah, I hadn't actually recorded any new dialogue in 10 years. They were just using stuff. And I'm not saying or trying to belittle the talent or skill behind voice acting, but then also the response to that and what do we think Nintendo might do to replace him, right? That's like they're going to have to find someone to do that, right? So what does that mean for Mario's voice moving forward?
Well, first I want to go back to the idea of a library of like pre-recorded clips, because I just love the idea of just like Mario Yahoo 486.wave. Like that probably exists.
It probably exists.
Yeah, that's probably very true.
But I will say, and this isn't even specific to Nintendo, but in general, I don't know like what the voice acting like landscape is going to look like in even a few months, especially like a year or two from now, because I don't know, like we don't know what's written into their contracts. Does Nintendo have like the right to his voice, or just the right to like whatever he says in like his Mario voice? Like how does it work? Because that indicates how they can use it going forward, not just the pre-recorded things that they have, but figure they can take AI and train it on specifically just those recordings and then make it say whatever they want
in his
Mario
voice.
And that could affect the entire landscape, because if right now voice actors have a like if their contract is written in such a way where like Nintendo or any company can't do that, then they might stay in the game longer because there's more money to be made. And when they're out, those contracts are going to now include like, hey, we own everything you say while we record it. And we also own like the likeness of your voice so that we can do that with AI. So whenever you're gone, we can just train our AI, which means as soon as they have enough to like actually train an AI to make good models off of it, they can just let them go. And people might not like gravitate towards voice acting anymore, or it might change the market where it's almost a little bit more like gig-like.
I think to a degree it is a little gig-like, and this is a much more involved topic of conversation than I thought we were going to get into, but that's okay. We can dabble a little bit. I mean, obviously the writer's strike is going on right now, and a big component of what they're fighting back against is just saying, hey, we don't need writers anymore because anything that's ever been written, we fed into a computer and it's going to turn out stuff, and we don't need you to see you. And obviously they're pushing back about on that and several other things as well. I do know that voice acting, I believe, is not unionized. They're not part of the Actors Guild.
Okay.
Typically really underpaid, and you get recognition just by doing lots of voice work. Mm-hmm. If you look up any major voice actor, and if you have a particular cartoon show or an anime that you're into, find someone in that show and look at their track record. It's not uncommon for some of these people to do hundreds of characters in dozens or hundreds of shows
in like a year.
But and you know, right, within a very small time frame, and they don't get paid very well. So I don't know what the future for his voice is going to be, but the Mario movie opened up an opportunity for an actor to portray the character and kind of expand the notions of what that character has been in traditional media, right? Mario has been pretty stagnant as far as changing an evolution for the better part of 30 plus years. We finally get to see him hold a real conversation with real people. And do we think there's a world moving forward where Nintendo says, okay, yes, we're going to make the next 3D Mario platformer game, but now our story of Mario trying to rescue Princess Peach from Bowser, I don't know if they're going to ever shy away from that. Do we think we're going to get like full motion cutscenes and things where like characters can actually expand upon what they're doing or their purpose in the game and the story? Like, does that become more and more evolved from what it's been?
I guess what you're asking is, Ada, would you play Super Mario Final Fantasy or Final Fantasy Super Mario?
Probably not.
14?
That's
100?
That's called Super Mario RPG.
I kind of felt you were getting at that.
No, even then, Mario doesn't talk in that game. Other characters talk.
True.
Mario just makes really drastic yes and no head gestures, and that's really about the extent. Oh, no, he like pantomimes stuff. It's actually really cute. They're like, Mario, what happened? And he like walks around the room and like runs in like he acts it out, like, but he intentionally doesn't talk. It's actually really funny.
Somebody reskin the game with Courage the Cowardly Dog and just have Courage playing as Mario, just pantomiming the terrible things happening to Muriel.
I've never seen Courage.
I mean, I think even though they keep pumping out games, I think that the movie in particular opens up a new generation to the idea of Mario, and then, you know, evolving him as that generation sees fit. And like, hopefully Mario isn't jumping on TikTok making TikToks, right? But, you know, I feel like change is inevitable. Change could potentially be good, but I feel like that this is an opportunity to get a newer audience and a new generation into him, and to develop an appreciation of him.
So is the current Mario movie, the newest Mario movie, like the turn of the era of Mario? Like, this starts our new,
I think so,
Mario generation?
I do think so. I think that it's going to open, you know, the possibility for different perspectives, or maybe new imaginings or evolutions of characters. Like, you know, what if Toad decides that, you know, Toad's going to step up and take more of a prevalent role in the next game or so?
No, that's a really interesting point, Ada, because I remember a story my brother told me. So my niece, who is 6 years old, was, when the Sonic movie came out, obsessed with Sonic.
Because it was great. I cannot stress enough how much I love both Sonic movies.
I never saw the second
you.
one. No, the first one I was in the same vein of Mario, where halfway through I was like, this is a movie made for 8-year-olds. And it features adults and Jim Carrey. Yeah, it does. But I think that for me they're more cringy. Anyway, so she was obsessed with this movie, right? Naturally, her fun uncle says, "Oh my God, you like Sonic? All right, let's play Sonic." So of course she's
absolutely hated it.
This isn't Sonic. This is what she had no. I mean,
did you ever play one of the
Sega Genesis games?
Okay,
yeah,
so one of the 2D
Sonic.
ones.
I think it was Sonic Mania, but which is basically Sonic 2 remixed.
Not a great entry point for kids in any generation.
Well, listen, I'm not good at Sonic games. I actually don't like them because I don't like them.
I like them more when I'm not playing them.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
If you watch someone play that's really good, it's very hypnotic.
Yeah.
But when you're me, you're like, run really fast, stop. All right, walk really slow. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure we talked about that ad nauseum. She was like, "How is this Sonic?" I get that there's a blue dude, but like other than that, she was like, "I don't want to play this. This isn't fun." I don't know if she was expecting it to be like the movie.
Of course she was. It was a fresh perspective.
Right. And so I'm
expecting him to have creepy teeth.
Oh God, I forgot about that. But to Ada's point, if people, you know, kids now are like, "Oh, I saw the Mario movie, I want to play a Mario game." If you plop them down and played, all right, here's World 1-1, are they going to be like, "Yes, this is everything I wanted," or are they going to be like,
they're going to be disappointed in it because they saw the grandioseness of the Mario movie, and they're not going to want to see 8-bit Mario.
Yeah, and you're like, when do I get to go left?
Right.
I just spend hours running to the right.
I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting endeavor to see what becomes of. Like, the character is going to be the character. He's not going anywhere. They're not like, "Oh, voice is done. He's retired," right? Like, which they'll do for some fairly major characters out of respect. Sometimes they'll just, right? Lionel Hutz in The Simpsons. As soon as Phil Hartman passed away, they're like, "We're just retiring all his characters. We're not going to try and replace him because he was great."
They're not going to do that to this franchise.
No, they're not. Mario.
They just built a whole theme park.
Right. And Mario is, right, if Charles Martinet is the ambassador to Mario, Mario is the ambassador to Nintendo. Right, that is the entry point. That is the gateway drug to all things. You play Mario, and you know before long you're like shooting meth and playing Splatoon.
Definitely not. Definitely
Sorry,
not.
no, I wanted an extreme example. Joe's like, "You're gonna cut that out, right?" Probably not. So like I said, the last time his voice was used was in the Mario movie, and I didn't actually. I know there's like a character called Giuseppe in the very beginning, is very much like, "Hey, I'm the voice of Mario," like almost to that extent. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that was Charles Martinet, and that was Mario. Cool." I didn't realize that he also played Mario's dad in the movie. And so I don't want to spoil the movie for you, Joe, but I'm going to.
Fine.
So one of the last things that Charles Martinet ever said as Mario at the end of the movie, it's a kid's movie, so you know it ends happily, right? Is like he like Mario and Luigi saved the day, and Mario's dad goes, "Those are my boys!" Like he was so proud.
Well,
and
he was proud of them, but he voiced both of them.
And I didn't know that was him also. And so now I was just like tearing up thinking of like this icon of a voice actor saying kind of like how proud he is of the characters that he helped bring into the mainstream. And that was just...
Oh my gosh, this has just turned into a Lifetime movie.
No, it was just a really sweet moment and realization. Sorry, Joe's laughing at me.
A little bit.
Have you never... You know what? No. What?
What is Mario's dad's name? Is it also Mario?
I think that was like the running joke for a while, is that, well, they're the Mario brothers, so then it's Mario and Luigi Mario.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm asking what his dad's name is, because...
Bert? I don't know. Mario Sr., probably.
Mario Sr., Mario Jr., and then Luigi Mario.
Probably. It's funny that you say things like this, because this is going to...
According to Google, there is no dad's name.
All right. Well, it's fine. It's Mario's dad. That works.
What's your favorite, then? What was your favorite... either game or just moment when you heard...
Hold on to the answer.
Okay.
Hold on to the answer.
Shut up, Ada.
We're going to be right back after this. Take a short break. We'll see you on the other side. All right, we're back. Thanks for holding on there. Who are we kidding? It's an audio file. I made the cut. You didn't hear our banter. So we wanted to take this time now, after sharing some stories of Charles Martinet and our Mario experiences, to take a look at some of the mainline Mario games and do what's commonly referred to as a filler episode. No, that's not true. It's only partially true. We're going to do a tier maker of all the mainline Mario games, have a small discussion about them, and see where some of these games fall. Now, one of the hardest things in this process is making sure that we are being fully evaluatory. I don't know if that's a word. I made it up, but Joe nodded, so he knew what I meant. In regards to where these games should be placed on several different merits, while acknowledging but not necessarily blindly putting something in an S tier because it's our favorite, or like we have to factor in a lot of other things as well. Maybe how well the game reviewed, cultural relevancy, impact on the industry, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to toss it out to Ada to throw out the first game that she would like to pitch as either an S tier, A tier, B, C, D, or F.
All right, well, I'm going to go for the top.
Going for the top. Right out of the gate.
Right out the gate.
All right.
I'm going to have to say Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo is going to be top tier.
S tier for Super Mario World. Why?
I remember getting that system, and that game was the only game I had to start. And it kept me entertained for hours. And I think it was primarily because you could go back and replay different, boards and find new things in it each time. And then it would lead to a new pathway that also led to, like, I don't know, a visit where you were going to get, like, the lotto wheels to pick out.
Oh, the items and stuff?
Right.
Yeah.
So I really loved going back to, like, see what else I could find. And I remember distinctly sitting there in my bedroom with my brother, watching me play games, and I would just walk through the game level and have Mario crouch down to see if he was going to pop behind things, and if he was going to be able to find the other Yoshi coins and stuff like that. And always trying to go back into the game to find all of them for that level was always a challenge for me. So I think the versatility of it, the fact that I could play a level and then go back and find some more things, kept it super engaging for a very, very long time for me.
Oh yeah, even to this day. I mean, I this is my S tier, probably favorite Mario game of all time as well. It's one of the most mechanically sound games. It just...
Oh, and the Yoshi sound.
Yoshi.
No, I don't know. It was like a electronic synthesizer, like drum, wasn't it?
Oh. The addition to the background music when you have Yoshi?
No, like when he popped out of the egg. It was like
when you jumped on him and you went, or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
something like that.
Yeah. No, this game is fantastic. I mean, the level diversity is insane. This was Nintendo very early on in their Mario lineage saying, like, here's a concept, enjoy it for a level because you're not going to see it again. right? And they did that with Mario Brothers 3, a lot of experimentation with stuff. And this was just that to its extreme. And I think it gets some slack from being like, well, it's basically Mario 3, but just more evolved. But really, that more evolved is just them utilizing bigger and better hardware to do what they probably couldn't do when they built the first 3. And so, yeah, this for me, solid S tier, no questions. Joe, do you want to contend with us, or do you want to roll over and let us keep this in the
Oh my
S tier?
gosh, no, don't roll over. No.
You guys hit it. Like this is one of the greatest Mario games. It's
Yes,
so good.
it is.
Yeah.
It's incredibly attractive to look at. The soundtrack is awesome. The level diversity is really great. It's multiplayer, but not a requirement. But you can also like it's cool because as a kid you can like have me, the younger brother, just like jump in and play and like
That's exactly what my little brother used to do.
yeah. And if one of you runs out of lives, if the other person has extra, you can pool them. Like you can transfer lives to the other person so that you're not just like playing as one player because the second player's dead.
I distinctly remember too getting to almost beating the game and then realizing that I hadn't figured out how to activate all of the little dashed exclamation point boxes.
Yeah, the switches.
And I had to go back and like just for my own gratification, not even just to beat the game, but for myself to go back and figure that out and make sure that I had all of them before I beat the game, because I didn't know what was going to happen once the game was over. And I wanted to be like, have that completed and actually complete the entire game.
Right, and then you get to Star Road, and you're like, what are these
What is
weird
this?
bonus levels with different colored Yoshis, and they have different
Oh
abilities?
my God, they were adorable.
It was great. All right, good. I'm glad that Joe had agreed. S tier all the way.
I just think the difficulty curve on that game is a little steep. Like the first 2 levels are easy, and then all of a sudden the game
Gets really hard.
really difficult. But otherwise, like solid S tier game.
Good.
Excellent.
All right, Joe, do you want to throw a game out there?
Sure. Let's jump the other direction. I'm also going to put this on the S tier though.
Oh man. Okay.
Odyssey.
Are we getting all the easy ones out of the way?
Easy in what way?
I would argue
Easy,
that
like-
this is an easy S tier as well. So
Yeah.
plead your case. Plead your case.
I think I don't know. It's an excellent game. It's very, very well done. I think it's accessible. Like it's easy for someone who's older or younger to jump into. It's a very easy game to like jump in and out of as well. Like to play for just a few minutes. Not a few minutes, but like play in short bursts or for longer amounts of time. The variation in the worlds is incredible. Like every world really does have its own personality. It's another very pretty game. There's lots of stuff to do on the side. There's the regular like collecting the moons and whatnot. You can like trade them in for stuff.
And you could be a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
You can be. It's got like a cool like I guess gimmick to it. For this one, which obviously like every Mario game's got to have, but somebody did make the point though that you're not playing as Mario in the game. You're playing as the hat. Because the hat can control, like that. The hat is what controls everything that it attaches to, like that's wearing it. So you're Mario, but you're wearing the hat. So you're the hat controlling Mario, and then he throws the hat onto the T-Rex, and now you're the hat controlling the T-Rex.
Yeah, but you're throwing the hat.
Well, Mario throws the hat.
Right,
I
which is
tell
you.
but I tell him to, because I'm controlling him. I
Well,
say,
then you're
"Throw
not
me
playing as
over there."
Mario. You're playing as Joe. By that logic.
So anyway, it's an excellent game. I think it's I think it's very well done. The worlds are concise, but like I said, have a very strong personality to all of them. It's a lot of fun, and the end game content isn't like super like boring or overblown, but it's oddly difficult.
Okay. All right. I would agree with that. Ada, any qualms?
With that one,
Yeah.
my knowledge of that one is very, very limited. I only played it a handful of times. I thought it was... What?
Play it more.
All right, I will try to play it more. I did feel that the graphics were beautiful. I thought that it did a really great job of storytelling from what I watched. But I have difficulty in navigating the 3D world. Like my brain just can't conceptualize it, and I find myself not being as successful in completing different levels because I can't grasp the idea that it's a 3D board.
That's fair. I can see that. Yeah, especially like in worlds that are like Super Mario Galaxy, where like you're trying to walk around a planet. Like, not super easy.
Let's talk about Super Mario Galaxy.
Let's.
You bring up Mario Galaxy, and there are two of them, so it does create an issue in which is one of them better than the other? Because Mario Galaxy 1 was the first 3D Mario platformer on the Wii. Mario Galaxy 2 just did everything better. So I would argue that from a tier perspective, 2 has to be above 1 by default. But where they fall, I don't really know. And you bring up the control in that, because I know I am one in a 3D space where I'm fine, but, and it has happened just the other day when I was playing Metroid Prime Remastered. I'm like rolling along in Ball Samus, right? And then the camera moved, and my up on the joystick all of a sudden meant that I was moving down because the camera rotated, and I had to reconfigure in my brain. So like, I totally understand that perspective, and especially in Galaxy where you're like, I'm gonna run around this planet, and you're like, oh shit, how is this supposed to happen? And like, I find that was not challenge, like you got a hang of it, but it's definitely like a learning curve in that 3D space. That and stomping on Goombas in that game was so imprecise. Like it just, it was actually a little bit troublesome. So I'm hesitant not to do like a twofer here, but I would put Galaxy 2 in the A tier with the stipulation that if someone wanted to argue it for S, I could see it. The flip side being is, to my previous statement, if Galaxy 2 is better than 1, is Galaxy 1 going into B tier doing a disservice to Galaxy 1? Thoughts?
No, I'm comfortable with putting it in the B tier.
Then let's put it in the B tier.
The controls very, I mean, the game was good, but the controls very much murder it for me. There are a lot of games that do that kind of like small planet 3D thing well, where like if you run forward and the camera changes, you continue to run forward.
Yeah.
But if you let go of the control, now the direction of forward has changed, but not until you let go. Mario, on the other hand, the camera will move and you'll just run in circles, just like around a pinpoint. It's very frustrating. Also, the second player mechanic just
Shooting star bits?
phoned it in on that one. Didn't even need to do it.
It did introduce me, however, to one of my favorite characters in the whole series, which was Rosalina, who is my go-to Mario Kart mate.
Do you like
Yes,
Rosalina?
she is.
She's a babe. Ada, do you want to throw out another title here?
Yeah, I want to go to it. I want to go the polar opposite. I want to go to the F category.
Oh no. Okay.
Yes. Lost Levels. I'm going to put that in the F category. I know.
Gas.
I know.
This man is overgasped.
I'm so sorry. Okay. So.
Yeah, make your case.
Make your case.
Okay.
I'm
Extremely
hesitant
hard,
here.
right?
Very.
It was extremely hard.
No, they were lost for a reason.
Perhaps. But for me, I think it was the lack of innovation or creativity. Like, it didn't feel like a genuine sequel to Mario 1. It felt more like, hey, here's Mario 1, but we like made it 20 times harder and give it a go. So I don't know. I feel like it was one of those things that just didn't provide any fresh ideas. Like it felt like the same gameplay, just with
remixed.
Right.
It was
a
the
remix.
remix version.
Yeah.
That was a big middle finger. Hey, you thought Mario was easy?
No.
Guess what?
Try again.
You're gonna break your controller now. No, I don't know. I very valid points, and I don't disagree with any of that. I don't know if difficulty would make it unappealing, but remember,
it caused a lot of frustration with people. People didn't want to play it. That's why That's why it's not really memorable. Like, we sat and had a discussion, and I kept confusing which one it was because it didn't stick out in my memory. Like, there was no core positive memory for me with the Lost Levels.
Probably only negative memories with this game, unless you beat it and then you're like, no, but I conquered it.
No, I definitely didn't conquer it. I stopped.
Right.
I stopped playing it.
Okay, you know what? I've come around, and I think there's a valid point there too. That probably a lot of people haven't actually played this as well. Probably one of the fewer played games, mainly because it didn't come stateside until much, much later.
On the Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo, Super Mario All-Stars included it.
Because somebody lost it.
Oh, Joe, it's 2 jokes for you today that made the cut.
Joe.
Thank you.
I think you should drink Red Bull more often.
There you go.
Yeah, let's not do that.
So yeah, Lost Levels, for those who don't know, was the original Mario Brothers 2 in Japan. They found it too difficult for the United States gamers.
They found it.
And so they said, all right, we're going to reskin another game and then give that one to you. But you know what? Now that we're on the topic and you threw out Lost Levels, let's talk about Super Mario Brothers 2. Joe, you were talking about it earlier, just being all weird and stuff.
I was. It is a strange game.
Where would you rank it?
We are talking, like, not personally for us. We're talking, like, overall.
I mean,
is this
there's
a good
obviously
Mario
going to be
game?
some personal investment, but I think, considering industry impact, social impact, cultural impact, like those things are also important. You can't.
C+.
Is that just for the graphics alone? 'Cause the graphics alone were lackluster.
They are, but they also, in that same vein, like, they stand out because of that.
Yeah,
which
I
may
agree.
not be a good reason to stand out, but they do stand apart from a lot of other Mario games for that reason, because they're not great, but they're interesting compared to the rest of the series.
The turnips, holding the little turnips over their heads.
It's definitely like, yeah, it's a weird it's a weird separation from like everything else in Mario. It's an odd game.
And the way that they could, like, you could choose any of 4 characters
Which
to
was
play.
awesome, right?
Yeah.
It's cool.
Right? You weren't just by default Mario.
Yeah, which
Or even
changed the
Luigi,
story.
for that matter.
Yeah,
Right.
and they all came with little different kind of quirks to them, like we were talking before. Like
The
Luigi,
quick legs of Luigi.
Yeah, he can hover
That
for
little
a second.
hover jump? Yeah.
Yeah, because
Little floaty jump.
Scrambles.
Peach was the float.
Well,
Peach was
yeah,
float, yeah.
she
And then Toad
like,
was super
glides.
fast.
Totally,
Yes.
yeah. I remember him in the sand levels. Like, he could dig super quick. So he had
Yeah.
those weird sun masks chasing you. Or
I
whatever.
always looked at that game as, like, okay, this is a level that Mario could beat, but it's really designed to be successful by Toad. So, like, you really have to, utilize your players a little bit better to beat the levels and get through things.
There was also the cool little mechanic where you can, like, you go through doors and be on, like, the flip side of the
Yeah,
level.
I
I
to this
loved
day
that.
cannot figure out how you're supposed to utilize those as secrets. Because if you bring that like little potion thing, right, and you throw it on the ground, you can go into the door to like the Mega World or whatever. And sometimes there's another door there that you can take to like.
I think you need to know the right place
Right.
to throw them.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, I mean, a lot of like old NES and SNES games are based around like, I don't know, luck, just like doing something stupid that's completely nonsensical. And hey, what do you know? Like, that was the thing you were supposed to do. But I mean, overall though, yeah, like I feel like that game goes forgotten a lot, which speaks to its industry impact. A lot of people haven't played it, but I mean, we got fun things like Birdo out of it, right?
Yes, this is true. Birdo was like the sub villains until you got to the main villain.
Yeah, which I find very odd because I find more people know who Birdo is than know the game. So like,
Right.
I know Birdo's a Mario character, don't know where she came from.
So technically, it's not right. Mario 2 or Super Mario Brothers 2 is famously a completely different game in Japan that they re-skinned and sent over here. So while they got the Lost Levels, we got Super Mario Brothers 2, and they just took an existing game and threw Mario and other characters into it, which is why all the enemies are weird and the levels don't seem to make any sense in the Mushroom Kingdom. And you don't fight Bowser, you fight someone else. And yeah, but Birdo made his presence. I'm glad you knew Birdo. We have some Birdo information that'll be testing your abilities a little bit later in the show. So I'm glad you put it in the C tier. I actually think that's spot on with where I would put it as well.
C+.
C plus. Well, I'm not differentiating here, so
I am.
C. All right, we're gonna pick up the pace here a little bit. I'm gonna not lean away from the mic here.
Like Toad.
I'm gonna pick a. All right, I'm gonna. Yep, this is the one. I'm gonna go with Super Mario World 2, otherwise known as Yoshi's Island. I want to put that in the A tier.
Okay.
That was a game that, much like Mario, was a traditional platformer, but allowed within the 2D side-scrolling landscape to also go back to the left and to the right, and it played a lot with verticality. You can turn into like random vehicles as Yoshi, and that was really cool. It started the trend in Yoshi games of like, hey, you got to find all the flowers and the red coins, and there's all these collectibles that you can get along the way. So even while some of the earlier stages were fairly easy, if you wanted to 100% them, it gave you reason to go back and replay. The level design is great. The music is outstanding. I'm only knocking it down from an S tier because much like in more recent titles like the new Super Mario Brothers games, if you lose Baby Mario off of Yoshi, he cries until you get him, and it's annoying. And so that alone is like, you can't be perfect, because that is an element to the game where like I want to reach for the mute button on the remote and like not hear it.
Cry silently.
He doesn't. It's obnoxious. It's kind of like playing the old Zelda games when you get down to like less than 3 hearts and it just beeps. And you don't really even, doesn't bother you at first, but after like 4 minutes, you're like, stop it.
You feel like Adam Sandler in every single movie. All right.
Yeah. So I think that game, a solid A.
I agree. I liked the whole like storybook aesthetic of it.
Yeah. Just the whole level design, the art design, really, really great in that. Ada,
That's fair.
throw out a game for us.
Another one?
Yeah. We got a lot left.
Oh gosh, this is really hard.
Well, you mentioned some of the... Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Oh, I was just going to say, how about this? Where do you put Mario 64?
Mario 64?
Yeah, place it.
I'm going to say lower end just because of my lack of experience with it.
Yeah, I don't think that's a valid argument to put
I'm
it
sorry.
lower. Joe, where do you put Mario 64?
I feel like I covered it earlier, and I don't have extensive experience with Mario. Like, I played a lot of it, but it's not like my most played Mario game, but I think it's got to be an S tier. Like, if not, then it's like A+ tier, because it's a super important game as far as the series goes.
I agree.
It set up the like the overworld kind of style.
It set up 3D platforming.
Also true, yeah. And now we have memes of Mario throwing penguins off of like
That penguin also cried and was obnoxious. You know what? Shigeru Miyamoto, stop putting crying babies and animals in your games.
Mario 64 just got knocked down to a C- because of the penguin.
No, I'd rather have a crying penguin than a crying baby. Penguins are cute. Babies, not always.
And at least you can like leave the penguin. Like,
Yeah, its mom's there.
yeah, Mario's kind of the purpose of the game, so you
Right.
can't really leave him.
No, your whole point is to deliver him somewhere,
Yeah.
actually. I don't remember.
But yeah, I'm afraid to put too many games in the S tier, but I don't think that's a good reason to not put this one in the S tier just because we got to it a little bit later. I think it's like one of the most important Mario games, especially as far as 3D ones go.
Okay, can I jump in with another one?
Sure.
Okay, how about the Wii U new Super Mario Brothers? Because that brought us back to like the 2D like gameplay. It was a little bit more of a nod at the traditional Mario, and so like for me it was nostalgic playing it.
So where do you put it?
I'm gonna put that in the B category.
Ooh,
The
okay.
B tier. B
Okay.
tier.
I when you first started talking, I was like, I'm going to knock this down so many pegs. I'm surprised to hear you say B. That game is safe as fuck.
Yes, and that's why I'm saying it's a B.
And it's not anything exceptionally great other than bringing 4-player multiplayer to a 2D side-scrolling platform game, and that was chaotic fun. And I think outside of that, it doesn't do too much that I would consider remarkable.
I agree. This game's a sore spot for my girlfriend that I play because this game is the reason she doesn't play video games with me anymore.
Because you just pick her up and carry her?
Yep, that's exactly. We usually get through one level, maybe two, and then by the end of that second level, if we get that far, I get really frustrated because it took us like an hour and a half to get there.
Joe, I feel like a lot of people did that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm definitely not the only one. But yeah, I would just like we'd get through 2 levels and I would just pick her up and be like, "Well, you're in the bubbles, so now I have to grab you, and I'm not gonna put you down. Hey, look, we're at the end of the level now. Like I don't get to play otherwise."
All right. I think B tier is probably the highest I can see it going.
I'll go for that.
It's debating C tier, but I think it does open up then the question mark for, okay, well, what about the new Super Mario Brothers U game, which came out on the Wii U in the same style of games as well. But I think this came out at a time where like this style of Mario game was really kind of just running itself into the ground and to the right. So I can't see it going higher than the Wii version at all. I mean, I'm not saying it's worse. I'm just saying it's really not memorable for anything in particular.
I would latch the two together. Honestly, like whatever score one gets, the other gets.
Would you even
That
go
makes
D
sense.
tier on that?
I don't know if I'd go down to D.
Maybe a C, but I like B.
I'd say C at most. That's where I'm going to put it. I'm putting New Super Mario Brothers U in the C tier.
Okay.
Here's what we got left. Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario Maker 1 and 2. We haven't hit the original Mario Brothers yet. Mario Sunshine. We had two. You know what? Let's hit these two right now, real quick, just to kind of bang this out of the way. New Super Mario Brothers was a series that started on the DS with handhelds.
I didn't have any of those. Sorry.
So, mind you, now that there are 4 titles that are New Super Mario Brothers something. And we hit the last 2 to come out on that. And I could be wrong. I don't know when New Super Mario Brothers 2 came out on the DS. I don't know if it was before or after the Wii version. Where would you put the original, Joe?
The first New Super Mario Bros. On DS?
The one where they're like, you could be Big Mario, because they advertise like Giant Mario. And he was giant in one level.
I don't know, man. I absolutely love that game. It's one of my favorites, so I am biased, and I feel like I just keep throwing stuff in the S tier.
Oh wow, okay.
So, but no, I mean, I'd probably. It's tough because like it's a smaller game because it's on
you got to
DS.
factor that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so that might give it like an unfair disadvantage. I think it's absolutely fair to at least put it in an A because it's like it started the generation of what we're seeing in like the 2.5D Mario games.
Were there any memorable power-ups or levels or things that you did in that game that you're like, oh yeah, but there was this one time when? Were there any moments like that jump out to you? That would be my only argument to say at the very most B tier, but you're arguing A. So, other than the giant mushroom,
I was going to say
the mini mushroom,
it's silly, but the first time you get the mega mushroom and you go,
which I think was in the very
huge.
first level.
Yeah, it was. They start you off early, but like it's a cool moment to like, oh, this is what the game is going to be about. You can just tear through it. I mean, like, I don't know. I'll be honest because I haven't played the game in a while, but I do remember it's one of the few games that like I had finished and then like a few months later picked back up and ran through again, and then a few months later picked up and ran through again.
Which you can do with a lot of 2D Mario platformers, right?
Yeah, definitely. But I don't go back to games all that often because there are just so many that I'm like, I could go back to this game or I could play a new one instead of like adding on to my backlog. So I don't go back that often. Wind Waker is one of the few games that I've like really gone back and like really played repeatedly.
Would love to do that again on the Switch, please.
Should do that. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I really like this one. I think it had the difficulty that didn't make it boring, but also wasn't so difficult where like I got turned off from it. I enjoyed playing it. I think it was a good like new entry into the way Mario was changing. But I want to loop in the next one, the new Super Mario Bros. 2, which I think we talked about when I first played it because it was like somewhat recent.
Maybe.
It's like one of the only games I've ever like returned because it was.
Are you stealing my story?
Really?
Yes.
I remember I bought it like I said, like not too long ago. Like I think when we still worked together. So like we're talking like 4 or 5 years ago. So like not super long ago. But I remember playing it and there was like one power up in the entire game.
And it was coins.
Yeah,
like everything's coins.
It was so boring that I genuinely like I returned the game. And
Okay, so
don't ever
that's
do
going
that.
in the F tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to F tier that one.
It's going F tier, and I won't.
We'll gloss
argue
over
that.
the fact that I still want to fight you and say that the first one should be B tier, but I will acquiesce and give you A tier. Well, because we think here's what's left that I would argue is in your A or S tier. Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh, that was such a good one. I loved the little way that you
Super
could,
Mario
like, skip.
3D World. I think you can argue A or S. I don't see them going lower than B.
Oh, what about the original for NES?
I've got a lot of thoughts on that.
Come on. Catchy music. Right up there for me. Like I I can recall going into the basement of our apartment and like doing the Mario song after he went into the tunnel. Like walking down the stairs doing that.
All right, so let's tackle then the original Super Mario Brothers.
Iconic characters, catchy music, innovative.
Yep.
It's
A tier.
A tier. Wow.
I would argue that of all the games on this list, outside of having an affinity for playing that when it like as a nostalgia factor for when it first came out, that's not one of the Mario games I'm going back to say I want to replay this over and over again. I've played Super Mario World, like I feel like I can play it blindfolded. I don't know if this game meets the same level of greatness as its successors do. I think it was a blueprint, and I think it was iconic and incredibly impactful for the industry to say, hey, remember video games? Those were a thing, and they're back, but they're going to be good this time, we promise. And here's Mario as proof of concept. And it was, of course, the catalyst for a successful, Nintendo home entertainment system.
It also came with the double pack with Duck Hunt.
Yep.
And the Zapper. So, I don't know. I again, it's not like I hate the game. I think it's iconic. I think if you're going to like put it in a museum, like here are 10 games that we're going to put on in a museum, that would absolutely have to be one of them.
Right, but that game gave us this like enduring legacy.
It gave us a jumping off point for all of the other Mario games.
That game is what kicked off everything and has created us and this channel and the podcast and all of our subsequent videos and our friendships, hasn't it?
All right, so I'm alone here and thinking A tier. You're both giving me evil eyes for even just having that as a thought.
I've never given you anything but flirty eyes. Okay?
Hungry eyes.
Yeah, that's true.
Joe, where do you see this? Ada's clearly pushing S. It seems like you're siding with her.
It is a tough one because I don't go back and play the game either because it's very difficult and I am not good at video games. It really did set the stage for like everything after it. But could you make that argument about any other successful series then? Like, is the first game always the most important one except for Metal Gear?
I mean, the only argument you can make to any of them, right, for better or for worse, is there wouldn't be a second game if there wasn't a first game. Again, I'm not.
Do you really want to start a conversation on Metal Gear? Because I will.
Sure.
What's left?
Oh boy. All right. I'm going to put that in S for you two because it seems like it's 2-on-1 and I have no issue with it being there. I just don't think it personally deserves to be there, even though it's iconic. So, and icon status is not enough for me. But some of the major players we have left are Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario Sunshine. Any of these you guys want to jump in and lay claim to?
Mario 3?
Mario 3.
Mario 3.
Where are you placing this bad boy?
I'm going to say A tier. I definitely found it to be more difficult.
Very difficult game.
Yes,
But
and
beautiful. Very beautiful.
very pretty. Yes, I appreciated the little drop down menu with the different
The power-ups you can
power-ups
use before.
that you could
was
use.
Really cool.
I really loved that I was able to skip levels, which I always thought was really cool. But now in like retrospect, I'm kind of like, I wish I played them so I knew what they were.
They were awesome.
Probably would have died.
Probably. But that was the game that I felt most compelled to beat and begged my parents for a Game Genie to beat it.
Well, if you used the Game Genie, did you really beat it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I
apparently you did.
clocked the hours. I did it.
All right. So Ada says A tier. Joe?
I'm gonna agree because and regardless of how I even feel about the game, but yeah, like everyone knows the game, but to the point, like it's not like, oh yeah, I played Mario 3. Like everyone's like, that's my favorite Mario game. That's the one. It's just got a lot of standout in it. It does some cool, interesting stuff. The power ups that you can like collect and use in between levels, so you can be prepared for that. It can be frustratingly difficult, especially when you get like 3/4 of the way through a world and then something just destroys you and now you're back at the beginning because you weren't playing 2 players.
I think it would astonish you how short those levels actually are if you went back and played it now.
Probably, but remember, don't forget, I am bad at video games.
Oh, I know, but even like when we're used to like, I think we all agreed that Mario World, one of the better, was like the best, S tier, of course. But like those have checkpoints in those worlds, right? Mm-hmm. You like some Mario 3 world levels can be beaten in like 30 seconds. Like they're not overly long. I would argue S tier. I hear your arguments for A tier, and in the sake of time, I have to agree with you. Okay. So we got 2 major players left. I'm gonna skip the rest. So my apologies to any remakes, ports, the Game Boy original Game Boy games, which there were 2, and I'm gonna nix Mario Maker because while they're listed here, I don't consider them traditional 3D Mario platformers.
No, and I didn't even play Mario Maker, to be honest.
Fine.
I will just say I have a soft spot for the 6 golden coins because it's all nostalgia. Carry on.
And it's good. All right, so Super Mario 3D World. Wii U release title, came out on the Switch again, added Bowser's Fury. I want to make a case for this to go in... Ooh, you know what? If we include Bowser's Fury, which I think is going to be the direction of 3D Mario games going forward, I want to put that in the A tier. I think Bowser's Fury sweetens that package a little bit. The original, I would say B, if only because that game is pretty easy until some of the later levels. But the world design is really cool. We get the cat power-up suit, which was really fun. And there were enough collectibles. And some of those later levels really were, I feel like, pretty ingeniously designed. I forget what the one is with the blocks that alternate presence based on the music. Like they change, I forget what they're called. You get the cherry power up where you get duplicates, and then like there's some really cool innovative stuff there, and it does all of that from like this isometric perspective. So while it is 3D, they're kind of like confined a little bit. This diorama type, like not look and feel, but sense to them. Where there's a background, but it's just like sky. But I thought it was really fun to play, and again, it has a really strong multiplayer component too. So I would put that A tier.
I would agree with that. I loved the idea of the cat costume for him. Aside from looking adorable, I thought it added like a new level of strategy for the game, and a new spin, like putting Mario in fun new outfits and seeing ways that he could take on the different challenges. I think is always a great thing. Just in a cutesy way.
Joe, I'm going to ask this one to you since I feel like you have a higher affinity for it than I do. Super Mario Sunshine.
Yep.
I've
already pre-placed it. I'm not going to tell you where. But...
Okay. I have a strange relationship with that game because I remember being really excited for it. I got the game. I played it for a little while. I loved it. And then all of a sudden I just got stuck. And then in my brain it was like, I hate this game. Screw this game.
Is it because of the storytelling? It was less engaging.
Because the camera angles were horrific.
They are pretty terrible. Trying to fly some places it really sucks.
It's hard.
It is.
It is a hard game.
And then for like years I wanted to go back, and I was like, it's on GameCube. I can't go back to it. Like it's not going to be easy to play, whatever. And then it came out. They re-released it, and I almost the same exact thing. Like I started it, and it was like, oh, this is great. And then like 3 days later, it was like, no, I remember why I hate this game. But then I like pushed through and kept playing it. And I haven't finished it because I got distracted by other games. I enjoyed it, and I think the atmosphere is incredible. Like I really like the setting of it. It's very pretty. I think the gimmick, the quirk for that one, like having the
flood.
That's it, the flood. Is I think he's kind of cute. Being able to like float around with it is pretty cool, and clean up the paint and stuff. It's a fun game. I'm gonna it sits in a weird place though, because like it does a lot of cool things, but it's not super like.
So give it a B.
Or
a C.
I think it's better than a C. I think it's better than a B. Like I would at least place it as an A.
Whoa!
Yeah, no, I would at least place it as an A because
he failed it. He gave it an F.
I didn't give it an F. I gave it a D.
Ooh. Really?
Yeah.
Because I think everything comes together very well, and it overall makes a really good game. And I think it's also important to the series. I just think it's not as highly regarded. Like I guess I'm saying
got its own fan base, but it's not like people aren't talking about it over dinner.
Yeah. It didn't leave too much of an impression behind. Like there's not too much that got left into like Mario as a whole from that game. But I think the gameplay and the work that they put into it to make it something different and something special, like I think it worked.
I'm going to take part of what you said and agree with it, in that the individual pieces are great.
But as a whole,
I do not think they came together as a whole very well. I think the setting, yes, beautiful. Music, okay, cool. Tropical island, great. Did they do a lot of unique stuff with it? not necessarily. I thought the water mechanic, okay, yeah, cool. I can hover jump, I could do all these things. I have to clean up a bunch of mud. I don't really want to do that anymore. We talked about the camera being really problematic, especially when they forced you into like 2D areas where the camera just fought you, not just was, oh, it's placed poorly, but like I can control it, but I really can't put it where I need it to be to do this successfully. And really, I think at that point, it was kind of the, hey, we're going to take the same structure as Super Mario 64 with this hub world and things you can jump into, and then you go to these other areas where then you can kind of get all the stars that you need to. So it was a little familiar in that sense as well. So it didn't feel like it was super revolutionary. And again, I did not finish the game because it got stupid difficult. And when the game, in my opinion, actively worked against you being successful with it, I can't in good conscience grade it that high. For me, the best levels in that game were the levels where they took FLUDD away and then you had to like proceed through a part of the world without it. And there were a few moments where you got like sucked into a portal and FLUDD was gone. You had to like platform your way through. Those were the most entertaining parts for me.
Interesting. Okay.
So I put it at D. You're thinking it's higher than a B. Where's our compromise here?
I mean, that would make our compromise a C.
All right, I'll tell you what. I'll put it in B if you want to move New Super Mario Brothers down to B with it.
The DS one?
Yeah.
I need to do justice to Sunshine though. So okay.
All right, so we're going to do that. We're going to make the adjustment here. So our final tier list is in our S tier, Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 64, Super Mario Brothers. A tier, Super Mario Galaxy 2, Super Mario Brothers 2, Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Brothers 3, so much Mario titles to mention, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. B tier, Super Mario Galaxy, New Super Mario Brothers Wii, Super Mario Sunshine, New Super Mario Brothers for the DS. Our C tier is Super Mario Brothers 2, New Super Mario Brothers U for the Wii U. Our D tier has nothing in it. And our F tier is The Lost Levels and New Super Mario Brothers 2 for the DS.
Wow.
So, all right, that was a journey, friends. Thank you
Holy
for that.
cow.
We did it, though, and we got a little bit of time left to spare before we have to call it for the day. And so, given that we actually mentioned a lot of things that are alluded to in our next segment, I would like to welcome you both to, of course, a little fun trivia time. And so, it's going to be Mario-centric today. Joe, you should be thrilled because we finally have someone we can pit you against.
We're both gonna lose.
That's true.
Yeah,
We're
I'm
only
sure
gonna
of
against
it.
each other and we'll both lose.
I'm probably just going to utilize process of elimination. I'm not going to lie.
We got 3 rounds, 10 questions. All of them are multiple choice this time. So you can guess an answer. So the first question will go to Ada. Mario as an intellectual property is worth an estimated $34.6 billion and falls at number 9 of the 10 most valuable media franchises in the world. The only other video game entity in the top 10 is what? Mickey Mouse, Star Wars, Pokemon.
Okay.
Should clarify that there are 3 rounds. This round is called Mario Monies.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's use process of elimination here. Context clues. Mickey and Star Wars are both a part of the same company now, so it's almost like they're competing against themselves. But seeing how much like bigger a franchise Pokemon is, I'm gonna say Pokemon.
Pokemon is correct.
No freaking way.
Pokemon is the highest rated, or I guess the most valuable intellectual property in the world at over $100 billion. And it's the only other video game other than Mario to crack the top 10. Good deduction, though, in my head. As soon as you said, oh, they're the same company, I was like, shit, they are. Do you want to know what number 2 is? Because you'll never guess it. Hello Kitty is number 2.
That makes sense.
Most valuable intellectual property. Yep.
That makes sense.
At like $80 billion, Joe. All right, Joe, your question in Mario Monies. Mario Kart 8 has sold the most copies of any Mario game at 63.92 million copies, which is insane. Which game in the series has sold the least? Is it A, Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario, or Mario Superstar Baseball?
Oh, I thought we were talking about which Mario Kart.
No, I'm sorry, which Mario game? I apologize.
Okay.
Mario game. Oh, it's in there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just thought you meant like which Mario Kart sold the least out of all of them. So, okay, wait. What are my options again?
Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario for the N64, Mario Superstar Baseball.
I feel like it's gotta be like RPG because we really knows about the game, but I also feel like that's a red herring.
So what are you thinking? Because I know what I'm thinking.
I'm gonna go with RPG.
Incorrect.
Is it Paper Mario?
Incorrect. It is Mario Superstar Baseball. Every Mario title has sold over 1 million copies. All right, Ada, this question goes back to you. Last question in the category Mario Monies. The Mario movie was the highest grossing film of the year domestically, but was recently usurped by which film?
Barbie.
Barbie,
Barbie.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3,
Barbie.
or Oppenheimer?
Hi, Barbie. Barbie.
That is correct. And it's on track to be the highest grossing film internationally.
We should do a whole podcast about the Barbie movie.
We should. We can. All right. Ada's in the lead 2-1 as we enter our second category, voice stylings. These are all questions in and around Charles Martinet. Joe? Here we go. Charles Martinet's first time being credited for voicing Mario was in which game?
I know this one.
Super Punch-Out, Mario 64, Mario Teaches Typing.
Phone a friend. Phone a friend. Phone a friend.
Can't phone my opponent.
I mean, you can.
Do I trust her?
She's pantomiming for those.
You get a trustworthier smile than Tom. I'm gonna go with Super Punch-Out.
Super Punch-Out for the SNES is incorrect.
Yeah. How dare you? Is it the typing one?
It
Tell me
is
the typing
Mario
one.
Teaches Typing.
Really?
That is correct. In Super
sorry,
Punch-Out,
Joe.
You've done this to me.
I'm so sorry.
he's credited as referee, who looks like Mario, but is not necessarily Mario. So Mario Teaches Typing is the correct answer.
I'm gonna say false. False.
Ada, here's your question. Known for portraying an Italian plumber, Charles Martinet speaks only some Italian. He is, however, fluent in 2 other languages. One is Spanish. Is the other
I'm gonna
French,
say
German, or Japanese?
Oh.
You got progressively more unsure.
Okay. I'm gonna go with his last name as a hint, and I'm gonna say French.
French is correct. It's actually a really smart point that I didn't think of. Spanish and French are very similar languages. German and Japanese are not either of those. French is
Interesting.
correct.
Okay.
Joe also would have said French, but that's not his question. Here is his question. In the category voice stylings. Known for voicing additional characters as well, which of the following characters did Charles Martinet not perform? Waluigi, Baby Luigi, Kamek, Bowser Jr.
Waluigi.
Waluigi is incorrect. He voiced Waluigi. All right, so the score now is Ada. All right, our final round in the category Character Frenzy. This question will go to Ada. There are 4 questions in this category. And this came up earlier, but I intentionally did not put the name there. The main villain in Super Mario 2 is King Wart. His army is referred to as, is it A, the 8-bits, B, the Doki Dokis, or 3, Mamu's underlings?
I think 8-bit is probably too obvious. Let's go with Doki Doki.
The Doki Dokis is incorrect.
Oh.
It's a made-up answer by me. The original game from Mario 2 was Doki Doki Panic. King Wart's name in Japanese is Mamu. His army is referred to as the 8-bits. Joe, here's your question. Shigeru Miyamoto famously told a story about how he was attacked by a dog as a little child. He turned this fear into which classic Mario bad guy?
I actually know this one. Like, hands down know this one. Bet my eyebrows on it.
Is it A, Bob-omb,
What?
B, Chain Chomp, or C, Piranha Plant?
Oh my gosh. Get it wrong so I can answer.
I would have to say Chain Jump.
Yeah.
It is Chain Chomp.
Seems like it makes sense.
It makes sense because what does he do in Mario 64?
Barks.
He barks like a dog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, yeah, I just saw him as a dog.
Yep.
There's also Chain Chomps in Link's Awakening.
Yes, there is.
And some
I
other
think
Mario
Wart's in there
characters.
too, isn't he? Ada, here's your question. We talked about this character earlier. Seen as dinosaur-esque creatures, Yoshi and Birdo are frequently considered polar characters much like Mario and Wario. Yoshi's full name, referenced by a 1993 Nintendo character manual, is T. Yoshisaur Munchakoopas, which is fantastic. Birdo's real name is what? Is it A, Birdetta, B, Catherine, C, Ostro?
I am drawn to one answer, but I feel like that answer is put there on purpose to mess with my brain. I don't know. My gut is telling me to say Birdetta, but I don't think that that's correct. So I'm going to go with the third option that's not Catherine.
Ostro.
Ostro?
Ostro. That is incorrect.
Oh my gosh.
The correct answer is Catherine.
What? What? No way.
Yep, in Japan, referred to as Catherine. Birdo is like the species, and Catherine is that one particular Birdo that we've all come to know and love. Fun fact about Birdo, by the way. In the Super Mario Bros. 2 manual, instruction manual, Birdo has a character profile that references Birdo as a man who believes themselves / wishes to be a woman. So Birdo is actually one of the first openly trans characters.
That is freaking awesome.
In video game history.
That is so cool.
Now, Nintendo has since probably retconned this, but in the original manual, they had confusing thoughts and conflictions on their gender identity, which is pretty awesome. So, now you know.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. All right, Joe, final question for all the marbles. So it turns out Bowser may or may not be a deadbeat dad.
Wow.
Which of the following characters are technically not related to Bowser? Is it A, Bowser Jr., B, Baby Bowser, or C, Koopa Kids?
Bowser Jr.
Bowser Jr. Incorrect. You should have gone with your gut.
Damn.
Bowser Jr. is Bowser's child. Baby Bowser is the baby version of Bowser, akin to like Baby Mario. And the Koopa Kids are
All of his
apparently,
children.
like all of them. I don't know what the final score was.
Where did they
but
Ada,
on.
obviously.
Ada,
I
obviously.
think I got all of them wrong.
So Joe,
Hey, guess what, folks? That's going to be our show for today. So I want to thank everyone that joined us along for this magic ride. I want to thank Joe and Ada for being here today. Joe looks so angry or defeated.
no
I'm not
way.
thrilled.
Not thrilled.
I am not thrilled.
All right. Well, hopefully
It's
next
also
episode.
400 degrees in here.
It is really warm in here. I'm so sorry. All right, to everyone listening and
That
watching,
hot air you're spewing.
thank you so much. Please join us next time, and we will see you in the next episode.
Bang!